I'm gonna ask you maybe not to watch this. Interestingly, I'm going to I'm going to suggest that this is really beneath you. You needn't involve yourself with this. And so, what's the point of even, this is. I heard somebody on YouTube put it that live streaming is like it's a kind of therapy, and I think I need to articulate something. I could just articulate it to the ether, but I want to go back and listen to it. I could also articulate it to an unlisted or private video, and yet that probably would be enough. But something about not being alone in my sharing of it, it's somehow like, I don't know, it does something to it. It spins it in some way. So and here's another thing. I'm mindful that what I'm going to talk about is I got a little prickly topic that's so, again, like so really beneath me, beneath you for sure, but definitely beneath me. Or I should say, definitely beneath you. Maybe not completely beneath me, but I'm just gonna. It's useful, I think, for a number of reasons. So I'm gonna riff on the whole thing. Why am I in the car at 12:52 a.m.? Because I was in bed, and Stunty, of all people, mailed me and said, like, hey, my buddy who's there is leaving tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Are you going to be able to deliver those records that I sent to your house to him by tomorrow at 9 a.m.? And I said, no, I'm not going to be able to. So I'm going to get out of bed and drive to Shinjuku. And luckily, it's only 13 minutes away, but still, I was in bed with my eyes closed when I got this text that this was my last chance to do it. So I just had a little 15-minute drive over here and a chat with his buddy and passed some records off to him. And now I'm driving home. But I was thinking on the way over here that I would put this out. And I'm putting it out in the member stream because I trust. It's like a circle of trust here. But also, I'm gonna speak to it as if it might be public sometime. Maybe I'll make all of these public at some point. And it might be, I don't know, I suppose expositionist or even, danger, self-sabotaging to make videos that were once, discussed in a private realm, put them in a public space, and for fear that I might have said something in the private space that I wouldn't really wish to be in the public space. Did I say that right? But I'm gonna say it anyway because it's therapy. It's funny a little bit. It's my experience. I want to go back and look at it, and there's a little bit of value to be had here. And I probably won't be able to get all of it out, but it's been on my mind all day today. So it's before I forget how I'm thinking and feeling, I'm recording, I'm documenting, I'm vlogging, I'm journaling, video journaling. There's a lot to this. But I'm just gonna share it. It's out there. It's out there. It was something that out of respect and privacy, I was going to just take to the grave. But now that it's out there in the ether, I'm not afraid really to talk about it here. And it's not that big of a deal, but it's just, and in fact, it's so petty, it's embarrassing. But again, like I don't, I've you won't hear me talking about such a thing again. You'll hear similar kind of like random musings, but you won't hear me talk about anything like this in depth. This is kind of putting the bow on the end of this little chapter or episode, I guess. And so if you've already found my digressions into the YouTube vinyl community, Rachel's ghost world, and it's not your cup of tea, then I totally understand, partly agree with you, and don't oblige you to hear me out. But I just want to, again, like I want to go look back at this. But here's where I'm sitting, basically. I don't know where I get this, but I just don't like seeing I want to say bullies bullying up on, but it's not even bullies. I just don't like seeing this. I don't like seeing people in the schoolyard ganging up on the people who are weaker than them. It's just a very, very sore and sensitive thing I have. It's a pet peeve. It's different. It's not a pet peeve. It's like, it's a fundamental thing that I really won't tolerate. I just don't like to see seemingly weak people getting bullied like Biff and what's Marty McFly's dad's name? I don't like to see that, McFly. Are you hearing me, McFly? I just want to sock him in the nose, I don't know where I get. Maybe I get it from Back to the Future. I don't know, but I save up, I think, all of my anytime I get wound up, this is where I kind of let it loose. I'm in control of my emotions. I love that Mr. Rogers, testimonial in front of Congress where he says this song where he's like, this poem that I tell the kids about controlling your emotions, when you feel a feeling of feeling mad, isn't it a wonderful feeling to be in control of that feeling? And rather than to, you want to bite and scream and kick and punch and rip and tear and, and isn't it better to take a moment and take a breath and calm down and smash a piece of dough, I think he says. What a wonderful feeling to know that you can stop. You can stop, right? And I think the biggest lesson I've learned in the last 10 years has been to not react. Whoa. As soon as I feel those emotions where I'm going to react to something, cool down. Let it stop. Just let it sit for a bit. Don't react. You have a feeling right now. It's raw. You are definitely gonna feel different about it in a day, and you're gonna feel even more different about it in 2 days. You might even feel different in 3 days and 3 months, and so give yourself the chance to see it in a number of different ways. That's been a giant lesson that if that might resonate in anybody who's listening to this, whether that be you or a later version of me, remember that you had this thought. that you can put reactions down for a second and let things simmer, let them percolate, let them stew for a while, let it think about them. And what happened in my last few days is that I saw somebody on the playground um, feeling really insecure about themselves, and to cope with their own insecurity, they decided to lash out at somebody who wasn't even there. And I saw it. It wasn't one little innocuous act. It was a several. And I wasn't going to stand for it. And so I got up and I called a spade, and I said, "Hey, very uncool." And the way that I said that it was very uncool was that I called this guy a prick, and he was being a prick. He was being a bona fide, genuine prick. And I've seen his prickiness before, and I've also seen his kindness before, but I've definitely seen his how to put it, his inner demons. And I suppose I would be wrong if I were to say that it was 1,000% strictly my frustration with him lashing out at this weaker than person in the schoolyard, and that it would but maybe there I was carrying some other frustration towards him. But at any rate, I called him a prick because I wanted him to shut up and stop cutting somebody else down who couldn't defend himself. And does that make me a bad guy? I care. I really don't care. I've seen this. I've been in this scene 1,000 times. And yeah, sometimes it's a bad look, and sometimes, but I don't care. I just know what's right and what's wrong. And so it came back at me expectedly, and it came it came actually back twice as heavy as necessary, and the insecurity was amplified by double. And it was a bit embarrassing to see such childness. And but my options, and this is what I want to talk about, is that my options, I had a lot of options in front of me. How do I deal with this? And I'm actually kind of proud of the way that I handled it, in a way. Although I'm going to out myself right now, and it's going to sound a little bit manipulative. But it was, I feel like, a quite clever move. Although you have to suspend your standard conventions of I don't know, human psyche for a moment to hear me out to the end, to appreciate what I'm trying to explain, because I don't see it really completely as black and white. But my options were to double down. That would have been one option. Double down and just mano y mano, just go to toe and exchange insults one after another, and just keep going at it either in the comments or face to face, and just be argumentative and combative. That could have been one way to solve the situation. Another way to solve the situation was to not say anything, was to avoidance, was to just, um, disappear into the shrubbery, into the hedges, like Homer Simpson, and just keep my mouth shut. That would have been one way to do it. And to just let maybe, let it percolate on the other side for a while. I could have capitulated and just admitted complete guilt and complete, just been like, it's not a battle worth having. And I thought really hard for several days. What is the right way to handle this situation? What would be the right way to deal with this? And then it dawned on me. But it took me going through it in my head 1,000 times to think up of how to deal with it. And it was a bit cunning, I think. I feel a little bit bad, a teeny bit, not sorry kind of vibe, because it's slightly manipulative, but not really, I don't think. If you want to get something done at my office, if you propose, not always, but often if you propose an idea, it'll get shot down by the person who gets to shoot down ideas. But if you propose the idea as if it was their idea, or if it was something that they said that inspired this idea, and somehow you just put a teeny bit of English on it, you can push things through more easily. And so what I came up with was, I hope nobody's watching this. Oh, Gary. Hey, Gary, good evening. Yes, nice to see you, Gary. What I came up with is this. What I saw as somewhat reprehensible is that this bad act that I saw take place, the person who did the bad act, admitted that it was not a good act to do, admitted that it was an unkind thing to do. And I can't really be a judge of, I ought not to judge people, and I don't wish to, but knowing what I know and from the experiences that I had experienced, I did not really think that it was, it wasn't that I didn't think that it was sincere. It was just, it didn't match the crime, if you will. It wasn't a crime, but it was like, it just wasn't commiserate. Is that the word? With commensurate. What's the word? With the fault. And it's not that like justice needed to be served, but it was that this person didn't have the capacity or the courage or the confidence, lacked or had too much insecurity to offer a truly sincere and contrite apology. And so, in my clever little moment where I realized how I could resolve the issue was to be the thing that I wanted to see. So what I decided to do was to uh, give a sincere apology as an example of how one ought to give a truly empathetic apology. You know what I'm saying? I got like inside the thing. But that would mean that I would actually, for me to offer a sincere apology, I would either have to fake an apology because I didn't really, to be honest, feel all that sorry. So this is where it's suddenly I need to explain that I was I was both sorry and not sorry at the same time. Or I should say, um, what I wanted to do is I wanted to empathize. I wanted to show how one does empathy, not just has empathy, but does empathy. So I did my, I like went method, I like got inside the mind, the position, the body of the person who had the insecurity to say such a horrible thing. And I tried to imagine what it would have been like to have been them and to hear what I had said, you know? How that would have made me feel. Like that's all empathy is. It's not that hard, right? I mean, we all know what it is. It's not impossibly hard to fathom. But I don't know. I don't know if everybody has this capacity, or I don't know if I have an extra amount of this capacity, or I don't have so much, but I feel like I in fact have too much sometimes because I'm over concerned about it. But I wanted to, no matter what the consequences were, no matter how misunderstood it might be, no matter how bad it might make me look, no matter how weak it might make me look, I wanted to be the thing that I wanted to see. So I gave the most sincere, genuine, honest apology that I could possibly show, so as to be an example of how one might consider apologizing to another person. And I said things like, I tried to imagine what it would be like to hear such a thing. And I realized it would be really hurtful and it would be really rotten to hear such a thing. And I regret it, and I feel bad about it. And I'm sorry for it. And I don't want to say that I didn't have that feeling, because I searched for that feeling. Um, but I had to search for it because I really didn't feel it, to be honest. I mean, I eventually I got there, but it wasn't an easy path because, again, like, why should the, why, why am I apologizing? So I'm kind of proud of myself, to be honest. And I just wanted to put it out there for the record and maybe look back at this. It felt like, I think I was mentioning this morning, like I sometimes feel, I would go back and look at my earlier versions of myself, and I'm so embarrassed, not just like in this YouTube world, but like go back and read some writing from long ago. I'm like, wow, I was so naive. I was so childish. And I'm sure a more mature version of me will look back at this moment and be like, oh my God, listen to you talk. You think you have it all figured out. You are so. But in this moment, it was such a lucky chance to be thinking like this aha moment where I was like, oh, that's how you do it. That's how you get all ninja on this situation. You sneak your way in a Trojan horse. In the apology itself, nobody will notice, you know? And oh man, it worked, I think. It worked. So, Gary, bless your heart. I feel so bad for you. I told you this is really beneath you. Sometimes people choose to ignore empathy. I think it's probably, it's a word that I teach my kids regularly. Empathy. Do you remember what empathy is? Do you remember the difference between sympathy and empathy? Like, it's not a word that they should, but why am I compelled to tell them? Did my parents convey to me empathy over and over again? I don't remember if they did, but yeah, I don't know. It's like this. It's, I know people see admitting wrongdoing as a weakness, but I just do not see that. It takes courage. It takes courage to admit that you're wrong. It's so much so that it's like, I like being wrong. I saw that guy who did the Elvis movie, not the one that just came out, but the one that was out like the biopic, that Elvis actor. I don't know what his name is, but he did the subway takes. You've been following the subway takes, and he said, what's your take? What's your subway take? And this guy's asking people on the subway, what should we change in the world? What's your take on something? And he said, the Elvis guy said, I think he got it from somebody else. He said, any time you have a chance to, like, I want to say, like, embarrass yourself, but that wasn't exactly it. Anytime you have a chance to, like, strike out, essentially. Anytime you have a chance to strike out, go for those situations and just lean into them. Any chance you have at striking out, go for it. And that just really, really resonated with me. Because in a way, I struck out, and in another way, I hit a grand slam home run in the bottom of the ninth with the bases loaded and down by 3, So people always think that kindness is weakness. I see it as strength. I totally agree, Gary. I didn't even read this comment before I just was spouting that off. We must be on the same wavelength. I have a friend who drilled that in my head, okay? The fact that it is not a weakness, it's a strength. Gary, you'll have to remind me, but you sent me a wonderful quote that I really liked about friendship. And I really appreciated that. It was like a Shakespearean kind of thing. I really dug it. Dude, we are your sounding board. We're here to listen, not judge. Yeah, if I lived in Tokyo, I'd call you and say, hey, let's take a walk and chat. That's what my dad would do for me. Oh, man, you're going to get me all choked up. That's real sweet, man. That's real sweet. Like I said, I could be, if you didn't catch the beginning of the stream, I don't want to oblige anybody to hear my stupid drama. And I don't want to pretend that I'm just speaking to a future version of myself only so that I might one day go back and look at this. There is something expositionist about doing it this way. But it also has to do about like not feeling alone or something. So I'm not really that, but it will be helpful for me to go back, just to say it. Sometimes when you like teach somebody else, not that I'm teaching anybody anything, but like when you teach some, or when you explain something back to somebody, you understand it better yourself. So I don't know. I wanted to come on because I thought that was worth talking about, and I was kind of, oh, I'm so glad it kind of went the way it did. And I had a handful of people who sort of witnessed the entire thing. Well, not a there was a heaps of people. There was over 100 people who saw this whole thing go down, and it was meant to be like a debate, like a proper, like it was who wants. There was a coin toss, who won, and I forfeited the coin, and there was going to be a winner and a loser. It was going to seem that way. And I came out as I was the underdog, and I totally knew how it was going to go. I totally knew the optics of the whole thing. I foresaw the entire thing. And I didn't have any delusions about it. And it went exactly as I imagined it would. And my little plan, I think, paid off. I think it was really, really, like, time will tell. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, again, it's like, it's so pithy. It's just so pathetic. But, yeah, it was pretty cool. It was pretty, I'm just like, I hope I can think of a thing like that again. I hope there comes another opportunity where I can have something that happens in my life and not know how to react to it, and have, A, B, and C options, and stop and let them percolate for a while, and then suddenly realize that I have an option D that I didn't initially see, and that it only was for having, thought about it and not reacted and let it simmer and calm down and think and ponder and consider and empathize, that I was able to come to that idea. And you know what? It's like Genesis, um, Fish, my favorite band, Fish, right? They inducted Genesis into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and uh, Fish is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right? But they inducted the band Genesis into the Hall of Fame, and the night that they inducted them, they played this insanely proggy tune that no other band probably had the chops to play. Few other bands, only a Genesis and uh, a Fish. And Trey, the front man of Fish, got up on stage and he said, this is a really important moment. Not that my moment was important, but he said, this is a really important moment for those of us who know what this means. This is our little moment. We all know what this band means to us. And let me turn this off so I can see myself better. I don't want to scratch the car. And he said, he's talking about The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. He's talking about Trespass. He's talking about that, it was so crazy. Phil Collins could play these very intricate drum parts. And he's just talking about all the musicians. And he's saying that they made a pop song out of, like, 13/5 time, whatever that is. I don't even know what that is. But he says that he says that, like, like half of America, radio listening America, was tapping their foot to 13/5 time without them even knowing it. they were tapping along with some highly sophisticated syncopated rhythm that they didn't realize that they were counting in a way that's almost impossible to count if you weren't clicking to a great pop song. So it was very ingenious that Genesis embedded secretly, like a Trojan horse, embedded a very sophisticated rhythm inside a pop song, and that was not lost on Fish. And I found like a clever way to be the change that I wanted to see in the world, by sneaking it in to a very calculated reply to a very ugly situation. And I don't really care if people misunderstood it or anything. I'm very happy that I just hope it kind of like ripples out a little bit. That's all. Just a little ripple. That would be very fine. Okay. Thanks for letting me get that out there. Oh my God. Let's see. Exactly. You were here for you, my friend. As long as you can look in the mirror and still like what you see, then you're still good. Thank you, Gary. Jerry's in the house. You're teaching me life lessons, and I'm 20 years your senior. I'm impressed with your intent. Thank you. That's very touching. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. No, man, we all have things to learn, and we all have things to teach, and I'm sure you've got heaps and heaps of great wisdom to share with us. I hope you'll share some of it with us. More of it, please. This is what you need to remember. You are the change. Yeah, change, man. You are the change. So. Okay, I hope I can calm down and go to sleep because it's 1:30 in the morning. All right, I'll see you guys in 6 hours time. Okay. All right. Oyasumi nasai. Good night. Oyasumi nasai. Oyasumi nasai. Okay, konbanwa. Bye, guys.